Hello everybody, my name is Hero of Warfare and today we're doing another one of my siege defense guides. Today we're covering the Ogres. Ogres, my lord. That was a really bad advisor impression. Anyways, let's get straight to it. First we're gonna see on the garrisons and then we're gonna go through some replays showing how to best or most efficiently defend against, aggressors and sieges. So with the Ogres, this time I'm playing as Scragged Slaughterer, so you start out here in, Reichland territory or Empire territory. And here you actually have major settlements with walls. If you're playing as Greases, you won't have many of these unless you go like out in the Badlands, I think it's called, where the orcs are and stuff. But Ogres do have walled settlements, so the siege, or garrison buildings rather, there are two types. The one on the right here is cheaper, it's pretty much half the price, and it gives some growth, but it gives way fewer troops and way worse. So I would pretty much never advise you to build this one unless you're like, you really need something and you have no more money for the other one. But this one is just a little bit more expensive and you get way more troops. If I'm a little bit low on cash, I usually just build the first one because that's usually enough to defend, because you do get a lot. 2 Noblars, 2 Noblar Trappers, 1 Ogre Balls and 1 Ogre Balls with dual weapons. And just from the regular garrison from the settlement, you get Noblars, Ogre Balls, Firebellies, Noblar Trappers and Mournfang Cav. And as you level up, you get, better Ogre Balls and even some Man-Eaters. And same with this one, when you level it up, you get better Ogre Balls and some Man-Eaters. So I recommend going for this garrison, or a garrison building. And I recommend it to build at least one in like every settlement that might come under attack. So on the Realm of Chaos campaign, pretty much everywhere can come under attack because of the rifts, but with Immortal Empires we're gonna have to maybe do another like re-advise on that one. Okay, but now I'm gonna show you some replays, so be right back with that. And we are loading into the first replay. This is a minor siege defense, so no walled settlement here. And we're going up against a Kislev force that's pretty strong. As you can see, they have some units with gold chevrons, Ice Guard, Tsar Guard, a lot of pretty good units. Some of them are a little bit wounded, but overall that's way stronger than what I have. Even though it's almost the same amount of units, their quality is way stronger than mine. So what I'm doing in this battle, it's actually a really close one, is to use the same strategy as I have used in the Kislev, and I think I did it in the Khorne one as well, where you look where the enemy starts, and if they have a vulnerable side where they don't have many strong units, or where you can easily pick them off, you try to start with all your best units, all my ogres basically. And yeah, I can just pause it for a second. As you can see, I've started with all my ogres over here because this is their most vulnerable side, so I will take out those really fast. And I could have done it on this side as well, but it was kind of like 50-50, or yeah, didn't really matter which one. But if I had split my forces, then I wouldn't be able to take them out so easily. So just focus all in on one of the sides. And yeah, they have split up like they usually do, nothing extraordinary there. I built one tier 2 tower here, the cannon tower, just to help with killing off some of these units there. I also use my Firebelly just to use some fireballs on these guys, and then I make him run back and take the defensive position here. With this map in particular, which is a map you come across often in the Empire maps or the Empire positions, I find that this defensive position is the best one, but You can also use like this one or this one over here, or anyone really, whatever you think is better. But this one is pretty nice because you can close off some of the choke points, and you can also build a tower here and a tower here. And usually they always come in here, so you can just put up some units to like slow them down and let the towers do most of the work, while you use your ogres to, you know, come and rear charge them and pick them off one by one. With the garrison, I recommend trying to keep your Mournfang cav alive, because they are very important as your only fast unit. I mean, the ogres are not slow, exactly 54 speed, but the Mournfang is faster with 75 speed, so you can actually catch cavalry or, you know, maneuver around them way easier. And that is pretty important with enemies like Kislev or the Empire, basically those that have a lot of archers, because with the ogres, their biggest weakness is archers. If archers are allowed to just, you know, stand and fire, they will kill ogres really fast. So you have to get into melee with them as fast as possible, or tie them down, like hit and runs. That way they won't stand and fire at you, and you will be mostly okay. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit right now. One thing about the Noblars, they might seem very useless, but they're actually very efficient for their cost. I mean, they will break pretty easily if you just leave them alone like this, but if you have them like a blob, which I will show you in a minute when that happens, they can actually hold for a long time. And the ones with ammunition, the Noblar Trappers, they have an ability called Noblar Traps, which damages per second 13 to 25 for, well, it doesn't actually say how long it lasts, but it only happens if the enemy is grounded and is closer than 5 meters, so basically when you are in melee. And yeah, as you can see, it actually does a fair amount of damage to like infantry and cavalry, basically units with a high amount of units, or entities rather, in them. So right here, I am getting a little bit overwhelmed, like in total. They're coming from pretty much all directions. Over here I'm trying to use my ogres to take out like their war sleds, their ice guard, which are a very dangerous unit, but also their Kossars and you know, armored Kossars and everything. So they have so many threats that I have to deal with. So I just try to kill the most dangerous units first, but some of them will have the opportunity to fire. Can't really do much about that. So you can see the balance of power isn't exactly in my favor, but I'm going to let the towers do most of the work a little bit later. But at this point in the battle, when it happens, I can see, okay, I'm getting kind of destroyed over here, and all I have left is Noblars and the Lord, the Fire Belly. So I tried to like run away from the most dangerous units, because these guys are busy cleaning up my ogres, and this Tsar Guard with great weapons is actually taking a lot of damage from my Noblar Trappers, and my regular Noblars are actually holding fine against the Streltsy, actually killing them because they are so low in HP. So yeah, at this point I am building, or having that tower, plus I am building more towers over here because all their guys are like over here or over here. So what I'm doing next now is actually pulling all my guys like away from this defensive position, going and taking out this Streltsy unit. That was a really good fireball actually. And then I'm just trying to run all the way over here. As you can see, the balance of power is even less in my favor now, or even more against me. So this battle was like, you could very easily lose it if you play it the wrong way. If I had just put all my ogres and everything in this position, try to defend it, then they would just stay here, shoot over, or even shoot from here or here or here, and I would just be a sitting duck basically. Same if I had tried to like hold all the different locations, then they would just be able to shoot me from everywhere and I would lose pretty easily. At this point I barely managed to wrap it up over here with the Streltsy. Some armored Kossars trying to give chase, but I just don't care about them, I just run away from them. And yeah, I just leg it, send all my guys over here to hold this position, trying to use all my supplies that I have saved up to build some towers. I have actually built a cannon tower, a catapult tower over here. This one is pretty good against infantry because it has explosive damage, as you can see. The cannon tower, which I have over here, the tier 2 one, that's pretty good against both infantry and like lords and single entities, because yes, it does do like it fires 4 shots, but as you can see they are pretty accurate. So they're like, actually, yeah, I guess it's a cannonball, but they're very accurate. So the tier 2 ones are the best ones for the price, I feel like, but the tier 4 and tier 3 are also very good, especially against infantry. So if you're going up against, or if you're defending against someone with a lot of infantry, like Skaven for example, the tier 3 and the tier 4 ones, they are definitely going to benefit you. But that means you have to hold the point though. So at this point, the Lord dies, trying to defeat or destroy the barricade, thanks to the towers. And at this point in time, the balance of power is actually going in my favor, because this tower is getting some really nice shots in over here. And in a second or two, there we go. There you can see the army loss penalties come in, but thanks to the By Our Blood ability, they actually get unbreakable for 30 seconds. But that's a really close fight, but also it was a very important one because Kislev had so many armies. But that was a minor siege defense, and I want to show you a walled siege defense. There we go. So this is actually Talabeclan rebels. They spawned, and in 2 turns they had this force. So don't misjudge rebels, like how strong they can be, or you have to kind of deal with them early on, or you have to be able to defend your sieges. So that's why this guide can be quite useful. But ogres are actually one of the strongest siege defenders in Warhammer 3. I haven't really made like a list, but the ogres, Khorne and Slaanesh, they are definitely the strongest ones. I don't know where I would put them, like first, second or third, but they are definitely the strongest ones. And when I was fighting this, I had something very important to focus on. These Demigryph Knights with halberds, they are super dangerous against my ogres because they have anti-large, a lot of armor, armor piercing, all that good stuff. And the Hellstorm rocket batteries can also do a lot of damage to my Noblars and even my ogres. And the handgunners and the steam tank could also be some could cause some problems. So they had a lot of dangerous units that I had to like take care of. Yeah, the bell is loading right now. I don't know why it does this. Okay, there we go. So let's just pause it real quick. So they split up in 2. Some greatswords and handgunners and the lord over here. So this wasn't very dangerous at all. So I set some Noblars up on the towers and just some ogres and some Noblar trappers over here. And one thing about like should you deploy units on the walls to defend, one thing to consider is just hover over the tower and see like the stats. What does it do? Check the damage. Like here it says 505 missile damage base. That's a lot. 350 is a regular like arrow tower basically. So if it's way higher than that, then I would recommend putting your units up on the wall and at least letting the towers do a lot of damage before you take your units off the wall. And here you can see also it does explosive damage, so it is like a I don't know, rocket battery or a cannon tower or whatever, something like that, right? And they positioned most of the guys over here. All the dangerous units are over here. So I tell my tower, just left click on them and then right click on whichever units you want them to target. So I instructed them to target the Hellstorm rocket batteries and the Demigryph Knights with halberds, because they are the biggest targets and they are also the ones that I don't really have a way of dealing with, you know, other than towers and just grinding them down basically. So I'm trying my best to kill them. I even send out my hero to toss a fireball at them, and then I just let the towers shoot for as long as possible before I pull my guys back. And I have deployed basically all my other ones back here, because from this point I can hold the entrance into here, which they have to get to. If they want to win by like capturing points, they have to take this and this to get victory tickets. So by holding this, I am denying them both. I have to be careful though, because they can go around here. But you can see we can build a lot of barricades to slow them down. And this point right here can build you 3 towers, one over here and one over excuse me, one over there. No, where was it? What's this one? I wouldn't recommend building this one, but there's also one over here which I will recommend building. So I recommend building the tier 2 tower in most situations, because they're just pretty damn good. And yeah, as you can see, they're now getting through the walls. I took my Noblars off, but of course they were shredded by the Hellstorm rocket battery and getting chased down by the Demigryph Knights. I don't know if you saw that, but there was like a minor explosion back here. That's the Ogre ability that you get whenever you are in a siege, like walled siege, either a defensive or offensive. It's way better in offensive sieges because it destroys gates or towers or gates or like parts of the walls or whatever. But you can also use it against units. It does like a very tiny amount of damage, but everything counts, right? So here they send in the Demigryph Knights pretty foolishly alone. That's a good opportunity for me to just put all my guys on them and kill them. And this unit has taken a lot of damage from the towers and stuff. So I try to take out the Demigryph Knights as early as possible, because that's their most dangerous units. Over here it's going pretty well. My Noblard Trappers are actually doing quite a lot of damage to the greatswords. And of course the towers are doing well. But the little thing, or the little amount of Hellstorm rocket batteries that survived, actually being really annoying and shooting my Noblars from way over there. I wish I had like a Cornet summon or something like that, you know, or a Noblar summon. But that's only the demons that get access to that, so... so I kind of have a two-front battle going on. Some over here, and some over here. So I'm like all the time contemplating, should I send these guys over here to help? Or should I keep them when these guys come up here? Because I'm trying to make the battle last as long as possible, just so that my towers can do like as much work as possible, and it's actually working out quite well. I have taken out a lot of their infantry, great swords and handgunners. A lot of them are already gone, which equates for a lot of the balance of power. You can see they only have 500 units left, approximately. And the army loss penalties is something you... like, if you understand how that works, that will really help you win a lot of battles. But yeah, here I can see the handgunners pretty isolated, so I send these guys to go around, I think, in a second. Yeah, there we go. And at this point I'm just trying to use my man-eaters, which have armor piercing, against the steam tank. And then I am just bottlenecking them right here, actually, pretty efficiently. And sending my Mornfang cab, because you can see, okay, this side over here, that's being won. And right there, you can see the army loss penalty coming in, even though they have a lot of units left, actually. Of course, the steam tank is unbreakable, so we have to kill it. But yeah, that was a pretty efficient siege, if you ask me. It could have gone a lot worse if I didn't put people on the walls, for example, to like hammer the rocket batteries and the demigryph knights and stuff like that. And if I tried to defend here or something, then they could have just like sent everything in. So maybe this wasn't the most difficult siege, but I still think it's a pretty efficient way of dealing with it. This particular map is also something you will encounter a lot, both minor sieges and boss sieges. The minor sieges have something very similar where you can get attacked from here, but otherwise it's exactly the same. So I would recommend holding this position right here, because this is such a nice choke point, and you can build a tower here from this victory or this supply location. So it's actually a really good map. But yeah, that was the two replays that I had to show you today. So the Ogres are very strong siege defenders because they get really strong garrisons. The Ogres are nothing to scoff at. There is also one technology, I guess I can show you that one, that will improve extra supplies. 500 extra supplies every time you you are under siege, which isn't as good as the Khorne one, where they get 2000, you know, instantaneously every time you get sieged, or you know, you just have 2000. Here you only get 500 per turn you are under siege, so it's still good, but not as good as Khorne ones. But I would definitely recommend building the garrison building I showed you in the early part of the video, because you can defend against pretty much anything as long as they're not like stupidly strong, you know, late game units. But this was around turn 80 and Kislev was super strong, but everything else was very easy to defend against. So the Ogres are definitely one of the strongest defenders in Warhammer 3, and it will be very interesting to see how they fare up against the other races from Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2. But the strategies that I like the most right now, at least, is to attack one of the vulnerable side and then hold one point. So this Sky Titan defenses, that will give you 500 defensive supplies per turn when under siege, faction-wide. So it's a little bit down the line, so you won't have it in the very early game, but you can have it around turn 60 or 70 or something like that. I hope this guide was informative and that you might have learned something. Please drop a like or a comment and subscribe for more content like this. We are getting close to the finish line and very close to the release of Immortal Empires. I am looking really much forward to that, so I hope you all have a great day and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.